Ahoy! Umbral Shards are receiving massive changes in the Brimstone patch in New World, and if you have any shards, you should probably spend some of them right now, but not max out items to 625 gear score. That may sound a little bit weird at first, so I'm going to explain that, and we'll also talk about the changes to the Umbral Shards that you gain from dungeons, from expedition runs. The discovery of these changes was made by ßᵒᵒᵉ, a data miner on the New World database Discord, so thanks to him for letting me use this. What you see here in the first section is how many Umbral Shards it takes to upgrade an item from 590 to 600 gear score. So, for example, to upgrade an item to 591 on the old patch, it would take 2 Umbral Shards, or right now it would take 2 Umbral Shards, and after the patch it will actually take 10 Umbral Shards. So in the first section here, until 594 gear score, the Umbral Shard cost actually goes up a tiny bit, but it's not really much. Then after that, the price drops, and generally speaking, if you're upgrading an item from anywhere in the 590s to 600, you will spend less Umbral Shards doing so on the new patch. That's because previously there was basically this barrier to upgrade an item to 600 gear score, because when the changes to Umbral Shards first came out, or when Umbral Shards in general first came out, the devs didn't want us to immediately be able to rush all of our items up to 600 gear score, and you were also only able to get Umbral Shards from mutated dungeons, not through various other activities like Outpost Rush or just normal dungeons or gypsum casts or whatever other way you want to think of that is possible now. So the progression then was intentionally slowed down if you didn't have 600 gear score. And that is especially reflected in the next segment here, from 601 to 610 gear score. As you can see, previously the cost to upgrade here was incredibly low, starting from 1 Umbral Shard at 601, much lower than upgrading to 600. Now we have more of a normal progression going from 590 and further beyond 600, because the price of upgrades just slowly increases past this point. So from 600 to 601, you now actually pay 45 Umbral Shards instead of just 1 Umbral Shard. While that may sound more expensive and a little unfair, keep in mind you're getting 50 Umbral Shards for just looting chests now, whereas back then dungeons were the only way to access them. The same form of progression continues down to 620 gear score as well. In the old system, this upgrade would cost you 450 Umbral Shards, in the new, it costs you 535. So, the progression is more linear, but also is more expensive in the section between 601 to 620. After 620, things suddenly switch around hard. Here, previously, the increase in cost was almost exponential, going from 700 at 621 to 2,500 shards at 621. Instead, we will now have this same linear progression continuing at this point, with the maximum cost for an upgrade being 560 Umbral Shards. So overall, the new system is more, but not completely linear, but the important thing is that the total cost hardly changes. Before the upgrade, right now, the total cost is 9,571 to upgrade from 590 to 625, and after this change, after Brimstone patch, this will be 9,444. However, we can take advantage of the changes to the system. If you upgrade gear now, you can actually save a lot of Umbral Shards. If you have something that is already 600 gear score and you upgrade it all the way to 620 gear score, you will save a massive amount of shards in the next patch. Even if you don't have that many shards, just upgrading to 617, 618 is going to make a massive difference, because you're going to save a lot of Umbral Shards until then. And once the next patch hits, you can then upgrade these items further to 625. If you want to upgrade items from below 600 gear score, you should probably hold off on that if you're just looking to upgrade them to 600, because otherwise you're going to be spending more Umbral Shards. But if you're looking to upgrade them anywhere beyond 600, just like slightly above it, you should probably look at upgrading them now as well, because again, the initial cost going from 600 to around 617-ish is super cheap compared to anything else that you could be doing after the patch. The only reason that you could have to upgrade higher at the moment, unless you specifically need it for mutation, would be if you need the extra attribute points to hit 200, 300 on something, which I think is 623 gear score, but I'm not entirely sure on that. So in that case, I would just spend up until the point where you have the extra point in attributes, and then stop and then spend the rest to 625 after the patch. This is less of a problem if you have split stat gear, which, as far as I recall, already upgrades the extra attribute point somewhere in the 610s. If anyone has the exact numbers at hand, please let me know in the comments. But along with that, there is the change to dungeons itself as well and their rewards. So there's potentially a difficulty change for the higher level mutations. I haven't looked into that deeper yet, so I can't tell you what the specifics are, but it seems that the last 3 or so will be a little bit harder, hopefully, but also a bunch of reward changes along with that. Unfortunately, I don't know where the original graphic for that one originated from. I made my own version of it, but thanks to whoever originally found the data. What you can see here immediately is that the rewards for lower tier mutations are increased massively. For example, on level 1 bronze, we're going from 27 to 200 Umbral Shards, which also explains why they didn't decrease the overall prices of upgrades that much when you actually get a ton more no matter what you do. This also makes low-level mutations more rewarding to run compared to normal dungeons, when the chest rewards in normal dungeons were literally higher than what you would get from the mutated versions. I've marked some of the mutations here with the same color when they gave roughly the same amount of Umbral Shards as a reward. And what you can see here is that, for example, previously, the level 6 mutation finished on bronze would give 533 Umbral Shards, whereas now a level 3 mutation finished on bronze gives 600. So towards the earlier levels, it is significantly easier to get a lot more Umbral Shards. You can literally get as much Umbral Shards from a tier 5 mutation as you would previously get from a tier 8 mutation. The only one that is entirely unchanged is the maximum reward. And we see the same thing if you finish the mutation on silver or gold. For people who are easily farming M10s already, this obviously won't matter. There's no changes in rewards for them. But for everyone else it does. And that is very important because obviously New World wants to catch as many returning players as possible. One of the things that I noticed is that my motivation to run through dungeons that I haven't reached M10 on yet is relatively low, because I know that for the first 5, 6, 7 runs of it, I basically get almost no rewards. Changing this so that every level is at least somewhat rewarding is a huge motivator to play through all the different mutations in all the different weeks, instead of just farming whatever you already have on 10, like farming Lazarus over and over and over, because it's the easiest to get the most shards. Overall, I would say these are great systems to the mutation system and to the Umbral Shard cost system that in the long run should be very good for most players that are looking to grind up some gear or that are coming back into the game. And also, obviously, if you already have a lot of shards, you can now spend them more effectively if you do it before the patch, so that you can min-max the cost. And speaking of min-maxing, in the next days I'm gonna talk about some things that you should probably buy before the patch if you want to make some extra gold. There are a variety of things on the PTR that haven't really been talked about that much, so if you want to see that, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell. We'll also talk about min-maxing some damage very soon, and if you want to know more about things that I think you should sell before the Brimstone patch, you can check out the video that I made right here. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one soon. SLOTH,